My dear friends, today I want to share with you something truly powerful and amazing, something that can bring a smile to someone's face, something that can heal a heart that no medicine can cure, and something that can give life to those who are begging to live, and something that can feed those who are being starved into death. It is not wealth. It is not fame. It is not power. It is something greater, softer, and yet stronger than all of these. It is empathy. Empathy, the ability to feel what others feel, to see the world through another person's eyes, to understand their pain without words. It is the most human gift we have, and sadly, it is the one we are losing fastest. Because, my dear friends, look around you. The world is bleeding. People are crying for help, and we just walk past them. People are starving, not only for food, but for love, care, and understanding. Children wake up every day to the sounds of war instead of laughter. Mothers hold their babies in hunger and hopelessness. Fathers silently cry behind the walls of their homes because they cannot provide. Young hearts dream of peace but wake up to fear. Old people sit by the window waiting for a call that never comes. And the saddest part? We see all of this every day on our screens, in the news, on our phones, and yet we just scroll away. Someone bleeds, we move on. Someone cries, we look away. Someone dies, and we keep scrolling. We are living in a time where the world is connected by technology, but disconnected by hearts. We have millions of followers online, but not one real friend to talk to. We have faster internet, but slower compassion. We have bigger houses, but smaller hearts. We are surrounded by people, yet we feel alone. And in this endless race for success, money, and fame, we have forgotten how to feel. But my dear friends, no matter how much we advance, no matter how much we achieve, one truth will always remain. Without empathy, humanity cannot survive. Because empathy is what makes us human. It is what stops us from judging and starts us caring. It is what reminds us that the person next to us, no matter how different, also has a story, a struggle, and a heart that beats with the same pain and hope as ours. When you show empathy, you don't just help someone. You give them strength to live again. You tell them you are not alone. You light a candle in their darkness, and sometimes that one small light can save a life. Yes, my friends, a single kind word, a single gentle act can bring warmth to a frozen soul. Empathy doesn't need a language, a religion, or a passport. It doesn't ask, "Who are you?" It simply says, "I understand." And maybe, in today's cold, mechanical, and busy world, that is what we all need the most. But here's something you might not have realized. When you practice empathy, you also grow as a human being, and yes, even as an English learner. Because when you listen carefully to others, you understand not just their words, but their emotions. When you speak with kindness, your words become natural, real, and human. Empathy doesn't just connect hearts, it connects languages. So, if you are here to learn English, to speak more naturally and confidently, this story will do more for you than any grammar book or vocabulary list ever could. Because real English, fluent, emotional, and powerful English, is not about memorizing rules. It's about feeling the words, understanding the stories, and connecting with people. That's why this story is one of the best lessons you'll ever experience. It will not only touch your heart, but also train your ears and your tongue, because emotion is the bridge between language and life. So, as you listen, pay attention to every line, every pause, every feeling. Notice the words and phrases that touch you. I've highlighted the new vocabulary and expressions that will help you speak with depth and meaning. And before we begin, if you truly want to improve your English, to speak naturally, and to grow every day, not just in language, but in life, make sure to subscribe to English Lit Stories, where every story is more than a lesson. It's an experience that transforms you. Because English is not just about speaking. It's about expressing who you are. It's about touching hearts, sharing truth, and making the world a little kinder. So, my dear friends, take a deep breath. Forget the noise for a few minutes. Forget your worries, your phone, your deadlines, and just be here. Because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a mirror of our world. It's the voice of all those who are suffering in silence. It's the sound of broken hearts still hoping to be heard. And maybe, just maybe, this story will remind you that even in a cruel world, one gentle act of empathy can change everything. So sit back, open your heart, and listen carefully. Because this, my dear friends, is the power of empathy. Let's begin.
The story. It was a cold evening, the kind of evening when the sky looked tired and the wind felt lonely. People were rushing back home, closing their shops, their doors, their hearts. Everyone was busy living their own life. But on one street corner sat a little boy, no more than 10, barefoot, his tiny hands shivering, holding an old paper cup. His eyes were not asking for money. They were asking for something deeper, a little warmth, a little care, maybe just a smile. Hundreds of people passed by. Some looked away, some whispered to each other, and some pretended they didn't see him at all. But then an old man stopped. He looked at the boy, not with pity, but with understanding. He knelt down beside him and said, "Son, are you hungry?" The boy looked up and nodded, his lips trembling. The man smiled and said, "Come with me." They walked together to a small tea shop. The old man ordered 2 cups of hot tea and a plate of warm bread. When the food arrived, the boy couldn't wait. He ate like he hadn't eaten for days. The man didn't say much. He just watched him with gentle eyes. After a while, he asked, "What's your name?" "Rafi," the boy replied. "And where are your parents, Rafi?" The boy lowered his head. "They're gone." The old man didn't ask more. He just placed his hand on Rafi's head and said, "Then today let me be your family, at least for one meal." Tears filled the boy's eyes, not because of the food, but because someone had finally seen him. When they finished eating, the old man gave Rafi a small blanket and said, "This is not much, my son, but I want you to remember, the world still has kind hearts. Never lose hope." Rafi nodded and whispered, "Thank you, uncle." The man smiled and walked away into the night, disappearing into the crowd. He didn't post it on social media. He didn't tell anyone what he did. He just did it, quietly, sincerely, with empathy. And do you know what happened next? Years passed. Rafi grew up. He studied hard, worked in small shops, and finally became a social worker, helping poor and homeless children. He often said in interviews, When I was 10, a stranger gave me food, and that one act changed my life. It taught me that kindness is never small. Empathy can save lives. One act of empathy, just one, had planted the seed of a lifetime of kindness. Now, my dear friends, I want you to pause for a moment and think. How many Rafis are around us today? Children waiting for a kind word, old people waiting for a visit, neighbors hiding their pain behind fake smiles, and strangers who might just need one word, one smile to believe in humanity again. We cannot change the whole world, but we can change one person's world, and that's what empathy does. Empathy doesn't always mean giving money or doing something big. Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes it's just saying, "I understand." Sometimes it's just sitting beside someone in silence. You never know what your small act can mean to someone who's falling apart inside. Your kindness might be the reason someone decides to live another day. Now, my dear friends, I want you to remember this. Empathy is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, because only a strong heart can feel another's pain. Only a strong person can choose love over indifference. And the hidden power of empathy is this: when you give it, you also heal yourself. When you lift others, you rise too. When you make someone smile, your own soul shines brighter. So, if you want a happier world, start with your own heart. If you want more love, give love. If you want to change the world, start by understanding one person. Because empathy, my friends, is not just an emotion, it is a revolution of the heart. And if you want to grow every day, not just in your English, but as a human being, make sure to subscribe to English Lit Stories. Here, every story will touch your heart, every word will teach your tongue, and every lesson will bring you closer to the person you truly want to be. So, listen again to this story, repeat the new words, and feel the meaning, not just in your mind, but in your heart. Because when you understand empathy, you don't just speak English, you speak the language of humanity.